Greetings and welcome to you, brave citizens of our new world. I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our layer 3.1, and you're watching the Warfront. I know, I don't have an opening yet. I wanted to make a new one, and now that we've got the facilities sort of up and running and still on their way to being paid off, we can do that, and hopefully the upcoming weekend we will see if we have time, fingers crossed. I also am aware that I need a haircut, though some argue consistently that I should keep growing it out again. We'll see what happens. But today is a very special episode because I got to do an exclusive interview with the creators of a game called Meka Puppers, which is still in development, coming out sometime this year at a development company called Galacanine Entertainment Software Incorporated. Some of those people who you may know if you are watching this channel and watching our Twitch streams. So, without further ado, here we go.
I'm JP and I'm the founder of Galacanine Entertainment Software Incorporated, which is just such a bad name, but
quotation marks.
because we just made the company name just as a throwaway, but the game is more important. It's Meka Puppers, and
nice.
Yeah, it's this tactics RPG that we're working on.
That's awesome.
You know who I am.
Yeah.
Silly goose.
Yeah.
It's
me.
It's
Cassie Chew.
It's me.
D20
Cassie D20 Love Chew.
Gotta check you out on them Twitters. All those people. For the folks at home. What do you do here at the studio?
Boy, oh boy, I sure do a lot of things at this studio. My official title is game designer, but I also do social media. I do some of the art. I do outside communications with people sometimes, including applying for tables at conventions and things like that. So a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of marketing in that sense as well. So it's an indie thing. We wear, as they say, lots of hats.
Could she come into the shot here?
Yeah, why not?
Come here.
Pickle.
Thankfully, I have this my field director here, and she takes care of a lot of the field research for us. Yeah, thank you. That's very nice. No actual kiss, just an inquisitive sniff. I founded it last August, I guess, so not that long. It's what, April now, so 6 months ago, 7 months ago maybe. But I mean, like, I've been working on this game sort of in my back pocket for probably 6 months prior to that. So it's been about a year of like work on the game. And then, I mean, like, I've been doing freelancing work, so this has really just grown out of that.
I've been working here since since the company was founded, I guess. It was like my first day was probably, what, August 1st? Or something like that. We started working in August.
Nice.
So I've been on the team since then.
What can you tell me about this game right now, this Meka Puppers?
Oh, that is a broad question. Okay, so I'll just give you the elevator pitch.
Yeah, give me this game.
Yeah, okay. It's a game where, you know, you take dogs, you put them into mechs, you build custom mechs, and you battle against other mechs, probably not with dogs inside of them. There's a little bit of pet simulation in there. Of course, you can pet the dog. Just for the record, you can pet the dog.
This is so important.
That's I realize it's 2019. You got to be able to pet the dog. I mean, that's just important. But yeah, we're trying to be like a little bit more casual than like Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea or XCOM or anything like that. Fire Emblem, all that stuff. But maybe not quite as casual as like a mobile game. That was our original target. Didn't quite land there. Now it's PC Mac.
That's great.
Switch, yeah.
Yeah.
So for our playable demo in May, we're looking at 6 dogs. But for, I guess when we launch, we're looking at probably closer to like, what, 20 when the game is like done?
Lots.
Dash and DLC, download a wiener. You call him Mustard.
Oh,
Be a wiener dog.
That's such a great name.
Named Mustard.
I love that.
Dogs named after food are my favorite. What would you say is the hardest part of working for a game development company?
Right now, being the boss sucks a lot. Doesn't suck, but it's a lot of like juggling. It can really throw you off to be like one day dealing with, okay, I'm really like focused on this game mechanic and I want this to feel like really good when people do this, and then literally within hours it's like, by the way, your taxes are due. Yeah, it's hard to switch gears like really hard like that. Like that, my case is very specific, or maybe not. I guess like if you want to be an indie game developer, it's really hard to switch gears. That is really the takeaway.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I guess the trickiest thing is probably keeping on top of all of those different jobs and having to similarly to what JP was saying, like having a transition for him between like being the boss and also doing the programming and actually like putting the game together is kind of a tricky transition. Where for me, it's kind of similar. I've got a lot of things that I gotta keep in line.
A lot of ducks to keep in a row.
A lot of ducks to keep in a row.
A lot of hats to juggle.
A lot of doggos to keep in a row. Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. It can be tricky for sure.
What would you say is the easiest part of this job? Like, what's your favorite part of doing this?
You always know if it's working or not. Kind of, mostly. Like, if you've played games your whole life, right, like you kind of know, you kind of like go to play something and you're like, that's not quite right. And I think that our generation is lucky in that we are like the first ones who grew up with this from like literally from infancy to like a very prime working age. And it's kind of like watching like the evolution of cinema from the very first people to experiment with motion picture to the people who grew up with motion picture and tried to like bend and break the rules. To the people who have brought us sort of like, I don't want to say formulaic, but like it feels very mastered in a lot of ways, right? And I think the games are getting there.
And the games are still sort of the Wild West a little bit. Like there's still a lot of the territory to explore.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, just going wild with the ideas, with the like, hey, we should do this dog. Hey, they should be able to like play fetch with toys, and we should put in this really silly joke. Like the most fun part about having this much creative control with a game is that you just have that creative control. It's like I want to work in this silly line of dialogue that is only going to be funny to me. So that's what we're going to do. Like you get the freedom to just kind of make it your own. Cool. I feel like that's the most fun thing about making games.
And what would you give as advice for somebody who plays games and wants to see a game made? Like somebody who wants to get into the making of games and not just enjoying them.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it depends. Like if you want to make your own game, it used to be like the old advice was like learn to code. Like there was no way around it. There's definitely ways around it now, for sure. I think, Unity offers like 2 different pipelines for like if you just want to like drag and drop, you can make a fairly unique game with that. They have actually like their game kits or whatever. And my students actually, I'm a part-time professor at a college. My students actually use that because my course is not like a coding course, but they learn some code. But I think ultimately what it's going to come down to is like start making one now. Like make a board game, and that will give you so much insight into how to make a video game. Just start playing with numbers and stories and art and try to sell them to your friends in ways, not literally like make money on them, but try to emotionally sell them on these concepts and get them wanting to be invested in the things you create.
That's a really tough one for me because I feel like I'm so young in my career. Like I have so much to learn. I've been making games for I guess almost 6 years now, but I still feel like I have so much like muscle to learn how to use.
It's a good attitude, I guess. It'd be like there's still so much growing that can be done.
Yeah, for sure.
But like day one, somebody was like, I want to get into game development, and they have like no skills to apply. Like, what would your advice be for that person?
For somebody who is just trying to find a way to get their foot in the door, even if they don't necessarily think they have the skills, games need all kinds of people. We're not just looking at the programmers and the artists and the designers. Game dev teams also need people to keep other people on task, so they need producers, they need people to look over the business development stuff, they need people to make sure the morale is high. Larger studios will hire someone for HR for that kind of reason, right? Musicians, games need music, very clearly, obviously, right? Testers, I feel like QA is such an underappreciated section of a game dev team. It's often looked as like, oh, it's testers, yeah, whatever, just hire whoever and they'll do a good enough job. No, like your QA team needs to be decently skilled.
Top notch,
You know,
yeah.
they need to have
It's like-
good organization skills. They need to be able to communicate properly because when they see a bug, they need to be like, well, this is what I saw. This is how I was able to reproduce it. They need to be thorough. You don't just like throw a QA position at whoever.
Yeah.
They should have a really, really good feel for that kind of thing. But like, honestly, like game development needs all kinds of people, even if you're not, you know, what people would consider conventionally like, oh, this person is a game dev, they do programming, they do art, whatever. Like, find those skills that you have that are maybe going to be needed to fill a niche on a team somewhere where that's not really common.
And that is all we've got for today for our wonderful interviews. Thank you, of course, to everybody at Galacanine Entertainment Software Inc. for agreeing to sit down with me and let me interview you guys about your game and just the gaming industry in general. And thank you, of course, everybody who is out there watching, all of my brave citizens for coming in and visiting us. Of course, check out these people. They're on Twitter. I will leave a link for them in the description down below. And until next time, my brave citizens, I'm Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Lair 3.1. And I'll see you on the warfront. End of line.